Congress is back to work on Tuesday, and once again, government funding hangs in the balance. Lawmakers have until January 19th before the first part of the staggered short-term funding bill expires. Before that, though, this week, the House of Representatives is expected to take up another resolution expelling Republican Congressman George Santos of New York. Now, Santos announced he wouldn't run for re-election after a damning report from the House Ethics Committee. That report said Santos, quote, blatantly stole from his campaign and that he used his connections to high-value donors and other political campaigns to obtain additional funds for himself through fraudulent or otherwise questionable business dealings. And he sustained all of this through a constant series of lies to his constituents, donors, and staff about his background and experience. Joining me now is one of the members of that committee, Democratic Congressman Glenn Ivey of Maryland. Welcome to you, sir. Before we discuss George Santos and the OnlyFans, I do want to ask you about, aid to Israel. The president has asked for a sprawling aid package. His original ask included aid to Ukraine, Israel, border funding, aid to Taiwan, and he has asked for that to be passed before the end of this year. I want to play for you what one of your Republican colleagues, Congressman Turner, said this morning to my colleague Kristen Welker on Meet the Press about the prospects of that passing before the end of this year.
I think it'd be very difficult to get it done by the end of the year. And the impediment currently is the White House policy on the southern border. The White House in this package, including it as a national security package, recognizing that the southern border is a threat, put in funding, but it's going to need policy changes. Congress is going to require that there be laws changed to make certain that the border returns to its prior state, perhaps remain in Mexico, other types of provisions that would secure the southern border.
Is this package going to pass before the end of the year? I mean, aid to Ukraine, aid to Israel, is this really going to happen?
I think aid to Israel will happen before the end of the year. Ukraine, I think, is a little trickier. I'm not as clear on the timeline for that. The attempts to keep linking this to other bills, though, like, for example, the first one we voted on, they attached it to the IRS. I think we just need the Republicans to get past the gimmicks and let's move these bills forward because they don't have time for games over there in Israel or in the Ukraine. They need to get these assistance bills done. Humanitarian aid's another one to Gaza as well. Let's just move these. And, we've been working on H.R. 2 and variations since the beginning of the year. I don't know that it's really on a fast track. Let's be honest about that. And let's get these things done that really have to get done now.
If a bill came to the floor for aid to Israel that conditioned that aid, not linked to the IRS funding, but to maybe humanitarian conditions or how their military operations, is that something you would support?
Probably not. I guess it would depend on what kind of conditions you had, but unlikely. I think that at this point, what we really need to do is get the aid over to Israel. I think with respect to the conditions issues, the work that President Biden has done with Netanyahu and the Israeli government's been very good. And a lot of the things that people were talking about, the conditions being that they wanted, President Biden's actually gotten done, including this pause. So I think, getting it done right now. We're in the middle of a hot war. In fact, in the middle of two hot wars. Let's get those bills done.
All right. I want to move to George Santos. The congressman, he had some words to say about the report that you all issued. He hopped on a Twitter Spaces right after Thanksgiving, and he wanted to make his thoughts known. I want to play for you what he had to say, and I want to warn the audience that some people might find what he has to say offensive.
It was designed to smear me. It was designed to force me out of my seat. That is what the intention of this report was. This report wasn't a finding of facts. I'm not running for re-election because I don't want to work with a bunch of hypocrites. It's gross. I have colleagues who are more worried about getting drunk every night with the next lobbyist that they're going to screw and pretend like none of us know what's going on.
Would you like to respond to the congressman's assertion that the report was designed to get him out of office?
No, I mean, we really kind of came to this with open minds. But I got to say this. I mean, his comments about alcoholism and adultery or whatever, the allegations that were raised against him go way beyond that. The indictment that contains the criminal charges go way beyond that, all 23 counts. And the points that we raised in the report go way beyond that as well. I mean, this is fraud. This is conspiracy. This is taking money from people and misusing it for personal purposes. really, the scope of the misconduct is kind of breathtaking.
Were there recommendations that you all included in the report?
No, we didn't.
Why not?
Well, the idea was to move it forward so that people could have a chance to see the information that we'd seen, especially since we'd already had a vote on it. So let them have the full information and make a decision based on that. And we couldn't do that if we'd made recommendations. That would have kicked in essentially a mini trial that would have added 4+ months or more. So we reached unanimous agreement. Let's get it out there. Let's let the whole House see it, and then they can make decisions based on full information.
The last time a vote to expel Congressman Santos came to the floor, 31 Democrats voted against it. Since your report has come out, a number of individuals who had previously voted against expelling Santos, they are now saying that if a resolution comes to the floor, they will vote to expel him. Do you think on Tuesday, Congressman Santos will be expelled from the United States Congress?
I think there's a very good chance of that, but the action's going to be on the Republican side, frankly. I think we had 129 or so Republicans that voted against expulsion, and they've got sort of two sets of political considerations to think through. One is if they do expel him, their margin goes down. I think it would be to 3 at this point. But if they don't expel him, they've got Republicans in tough districts, Biden districts, that are going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Can I just note, this is crazy. It's crazy. We're sitting here having a conversation like it's great. This is crazy. George Santos lied about his entire resume and is sitting in Congress. There are many people that said it shouldn't have taken this report to get to this point. What do you say to folks that already out there have a low opinion of Congress?
Well, I think some of it's earned, especially this year. 15 votes to pick a speaker. That was, pathetic, really. And then the 3 weeks to pick another speaker. And a lot of this is my Republican colleagues that are struggling to run the place, and the dysfunction continues. And these are for big issues like, keeping the government open, avoiding, a default on the U.S. Treasury. I mean, just really big stuff that they can't get their act together on. This is another variation of that. But hopefully on Tuesday, we can get this done and move forward with some of the other big issues.
All right. We will be watching. Maryland Congressman Glenn Ivey, it's very good to see you, sir. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.